Welcome back now. Time for Talk of the Table. Now, up first, President Obama, in addition to obviously the Al Smith dinner, he appeared on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, spawning this awkward moment.
I would say even you would admit it was not the optimal response, at least to the American people, as far as us all being on the same page.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
Right.
And we're going to fix it.
Right.
And
all of it.
All of it. And what happens during the course of a presidency is that, you know, the government is a big operation. At any given time, something screws up. And you make sure that you find out what's broken and you fix it.
Now, you already had the GOP immediately grabbing onto those choice of words here. Senator John McCain called it, quote, inappropriate. Senator Kelly Ayotte, Romney Surrogate, called it astounding what the president had to say there. All right. My only point out of this is it's not going to make or break a campaign, but Scott, he's preaching to the choir. There ain't anybody that's watching The Daily Show that wasn't already going to vote for him, probably, right? He's not going to change votes. I just think since Bill Clinton played the sax in Arsenio, all these guys think that they're going to get something out of this. And if I was you guys, there's more downside than there is upside, because these talk show hosts, they don't try to be funny guys. Now they're trying to be serious.
Certainly The Daily Show. You know, the Letterman show, I understand. Leno would be a great hit for them. To go on this show is playing in your own field. It makes no sense.
And there's risk, right?
Well, there's huge risk. I mean,
Yeah.
you just showed it.
I disagree with you guys. I agree with you, Dominic. I'll defer to my esteemed colleague.
Dominic, don't be kicking it down there. Why do you think they're wrong?
The reason why I disagree, let's keep in mind, almost half the country doesn't vote.
Good point.
So you've got to find a way to connect with those people and try and energize them.
So you think somebody watching The Daily Show is not going to go vote because
They're the
of
most
The Daily Show?
politicized viewers in the Western world.
They're
Yes, I
already
do.
committed.
They're as politicized a viewing public
I
as
really
you get.
believe that half of the kids that watch that show that were on the fence about voting may actually turn out now and say, listen,
for Romney.
No. Wait a minute. But it's not just viewers who like watch RFL who then would watch The Daily Show. You also get people who, instead of watching a political show, would watch Real Housewives and then watch The Daily Show. And so maybe they're getting a little more involved. Maybe they get a little more enthused. It increases a vote that's a voting bloc that's much more likely to vote for Obama. Okay. And this is a base election. It's not turning out your base.
Take aside the fact of how offensive and inappropriate his comments were. This president.
How offensive or inappropriate?
Wait, this is my point, though, Jess. He's the one who said, Stewart said, would you agree that it was whatever he said?
He was not characterizing the deaths of 4 Americans for a sitting.
Is not optimal.
Right,
is
that was
probably not the way he would have
completely
phrased it.
inappropriate. But putting that aside, this president has a long history of taking the cushy, soft interviews and avoiding the tough stuff. He goes on The View.
That's not a reason.
He goes on The View.
That's not a reason not to do it. The reason
I'm
not
not
to
saying
do
it's
it
not a
is
reason not to do it, but when you're avoiding the tough stuff and those are the venues that you're communicating with the American people, it's problematic.
Richard,
I
remember
think what's problematic is the risk factor.
what the polling showed, that Jon Stewart was the most trusted newsman, if you will.
Yes.
That may offend us, but if he's #1, you better go kiss his ring. You have no choice but to go on his show.
If you want, not going on the show.
Yeah, but his wife went on The View.
And Mitt wouldn't go on The View.
Because Mitt...
And look what they did. Look
He
what they did to Ann Romney when she went on there versus how they treated Michelle Obama.
What did they do to her?
They say when the president and Michelle came on The View, they said, "Oh, tell me about your anniversary." When she came on, they said, "What is your position on being pro-life or pro-choice?" She's not running for president. Why would they put her in that position?
I think you guys are all making my point. I think there's more downside than upside for politicians to go on when guys like me are going to try and get a soundbite that's going to get played everywhere. It's not just pleasing colors. You want to actually get a soundbite.
The people who are likely to be impacted by the playing of that soundbite aren't, they're fine with it. I mean, it's
all about the news cycle, Andrew. You and I both know that. The only thing that came out of that hurt him in the news cycle. It didn't help him.
But what about the other appearances that he did? What about the other appearances on Jon Stewart's show? They didn't hurt him those times.
You can't make a blanket statement that you can't do those shows. You have to make it on a case by case.
I think this close, I would have advised against it, but they didn't ask my opinion. All right, next up here, the Kennebunk Zumba prostitution scandal. Call it a modern-day Scarlet Letter story. In a little town in Maine here, known for tourists and presidential visits, a big story, and also a little sex ring. A local Zumba instructor is alleged to have used her exercise studio for more than fitness training. She was allegedly running a one-woman brothel out of that studio, but the talk of the town today is that the list of Johns has been released, much to the chagrin of the alleged Johns and their attorneys. I say, boo frickin' who. The guy shouldn't have gone there in the first place. They went there. Why am I crying a river that their names are in the paper just like they got a D with?
Yeah, what's the story?
Allow me to take the minority view if I could, and because I'm the what value does that serve? You think you're going to end prostitution?
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. But what value is it when the girls, we know their names and they're let out in handcuffs, but we never know the men's name?
They were arrested. They were arrested and charged.
Right, but they're not having sex by themselves.
But the Johns aren't being charged. The Johns aren't being arrested.
Did you actually say what effect does it have?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge chilling effect on guys repeating.
Yeah.
Really?
Does that make you more or less likely?
I get my photo in the Daily News.
My wife sent my photo.
Might think twice
Last I
about that.
checked, prostitution was still referred to as the world's oldest profession, which means clearly those movements haven't
had
stopped.
the internet then.
There's always been gossips. There's always been people talking about it. And honestly, what is this going to do except, probably impact kids in these families? It's not entirely universal that you've got convictions or that these people definitely did it. You've got people who've got similar
names. We just talked about in Jon Stewart, somebody's opinion may have changed. If you don't think there's some guy who's thinking about running around that all of a sudden he sees the local judge and the town cop here all of a sudden in the paper in their names that he's going to think about keeping in his pants, I
guess that's why prostitution's been wiped out in every town that does this.
They've never done this.
Well, listen, Andrew, if a guy gets pulled over for a DWI and his name's in the paper, why should these guys get a free ride? Why are we making an exception for guys who are going to prostitutes?
Because the guy who did the DUI, actually put somebody else's life at risk. The guy who went to visit a prostitute didn't.
You're calling it a victimless crime here, and we've done enough shows to show that these kids could be minors, some of these girls.
Exactly.
There could be pimps that are running it.
Or in this case, they could be Zumba instructors.
Now you're going to be...
But what about you may take a disease back to your wife? I mean, what about that? I mean, what if, God forbid, you catch AIDS and it's happened, and you take this back home? I mean, if we're going to, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If we're going to punish the women, then we have to punish the men.
The hardest part of your argument is, why are you making an exception for this and you're not making it for other crimes? You're in the paper. We all knew growing up you didn't want to be in the paper, right? We all remember when you went to parties or whatever.
Your
you didn't want
parents would say, whatever you do,
you don't want to be in the paper, right? So why are we saying this one doesn't go in the paper?
Let me give you a slightly different example. But 20, 30 years ago, police used to raid gay bars and post the names of the people that they arrested in gay bars and essentially outing them that way.
That's
come
real
on,
rough
this
term.
is a total
You're
stretch.
comparing being gay and someone's sexual orientation to buying and selling a prostitute.
In that case, I am. In that case, I am.
You're criminalizing gay orientation.
It's criminalizing sexual activity, which I would probably.
I am going to do my friend Andrew a favor and move on here. Let's go to Newsweek. And it will no longer be in print. Think about that. 80 years now. You can say goodbye to iconic covers like you see there and say hello to what's called Newsweek Global, which will be available through e-readers on both tablet and web. Some have laughed at the idea, including Felix Salmon of Reuters, who wrote, quote, "The chances that Newsweek will succeed as a digital-only subscription-based publication are exactly zero." And you know, guys, this isn't just obviously Newsweek. I saw a number today. In 2000, not long ago, 47% of the polled public said they had read a paper that day or the day before. And this year, that number less than half that at 23%. It's Newsweek. It used to be Time or Newsweek. It was in everybody's house, one or both of them, when you grew up. I don't know. To me, it's kind of scary.
Tell your children not to major in journalism.
Why not? My daughter majored, and my son as well. Why shouldn't they major in journalism?
Well, I'm
not
just
in print.
thinking in general. In general, the amount of...
Clearly, Newsweek made the mistake of not publishing the names of Johns who had been arrested.
Dude, I'm trying to help you, and you're going back here.
I'm a traditionalist. I still like to have that book in my hand or flipping through the magazine. I can't move past it.
Sign of the times, the internet.
Yeah, you don't read the hard copy anymore.
Took me a long
Guys, on this uplifting note here, thank you. Jessica, Dom, Andrew, Scott, great job, guys. When we come back, we're going to remember an American president who obviously faced many battles. When we talk about tough economies, he had one worse than anybody. But today, there was a major dedication right in the East River, actually I should say yesterday, as there was something to see here, a new memorial. We'll take you there right after this.